What do you guys think the event is?
I think it's a scavenger hunt.
A scavenger hunt.
Was I right?
Yeah, that's it. We're actually not going to do it now.
Oh, I ruined it. Everyone says
next year.
I hope you have a plan B.
I've got a plan A. And here's the plan A, everyone. So you may or may not know that I've been doing videos on my YouTube channel. Seth Loves to Talk. I wanted to share what I've been doing with you, okay? So today, the mystery event, you're going to be creating something for me that shares something you love. It's not Seth Loves to Talk. It's You Love to Talk. So we'll have about an hour, 6:15, we're going to start, okay? That's when we're going to be presenting whatever it is you decide to create. You could make a poem. You could make colored pencil drawings. Give me a PowerPoint. You know what I mean? That's the bare minimum, okay? Whatever it is you want, it can be as long as you'd like, up to 5 minutes. Now, there's a big squad over there with Megan, Mark, Ben, Nick, all of you guys and girls. Is it too hard for you guys to do individual projects, or do you think, you've got enough pens and papers and whatever involved?
Can we do a cappella?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can. So yeah, it can be in groups. Fuck it. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. You want to do groups? Do groups. I don't care. As long as it's something that you love.
Yeah, we love acapella.
So beautiful.
Are there any questions?
Zoom, 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 zoom.
So wait, never mind. I get it. We're good.
Great. Prime time. I'm going to be a little disappointed though if it's not a mini hoop basketball montage from you. Okay.
Yeah, I actually have one in my bathroom, so I can do from the toilet if that's cool with you.
Perfect. Can't wait. Oh yeah, prime time. You want to say why you're called prime time before we go?
Yeah, it's really not that great of a story. I was wearing a shirt that said Prime Time MLS Thursdays, and then Seth called me Prime Time, and it stuck. Actually, I think it was Graham who called me that.
It was not me who started it.
Absolutely. It was Graham. It was 100% Graham. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah! Prime time. Thanks, Henry.
Thanks. I feel so appreciated.
Yeah, feel free to start. You do whatever you guys want. Oh, actually, wait. I lied. I started. I have something. That's what it is.
The thing was like, what do we love to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you just ask what we were doing, Dan?
I was verifying the theme. No, I understood what we were doing. I was verifying like the prompt and how to type back into that.
Got it.
I was being creative for an hour in honor of Seth. So.
Well, I'm glad. Being creative for an hour is exactly what this event was made for. So, with that in mind, if Megan is ready to present with her group, you guys can take it over.
Ever seen a diamond in the flesh? I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movie, and I'm not proud of my dress. In a torn up town, no postcode and me, but every song's like bones and cakes, dripping in the bathroom, tall makeup, diamonds on your panties, plain diamonds, tigers on a gold leash, we don't care. We're not coping a love affair, and we'll never be royal. We're running our blood, the kind of lush just ain't for us. We have a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Happy birthday to you, Seth. Oh, 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 oh. And we're in love with you, Seth. Oh, oh, oh. Life is great without a care. We aren't caught up in your love affair, and we'll never be royal. It's a run in our blood. The kind of lust just ain't for us. We crave a different kind of buzz. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Happy birthday to you, Seth. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Thank you guys so much. Wow, that was lovely. It was so good that it killed the desktop computer's internet. However, I recorded the first part in the end. So, you know, it was great.
No, if there's one thing Mel loves, it's food. And specifically, Mel loves to cook.
Ah,
So
Mel loves to
we have,
cook.
In the last hour, made some brown butter Snickerdoodle cookies.
Ooh.
Those look really good.
Delicious.
I'm now being delivered one.
Here, yes.
eating with
Oh, thank you so much.
Kevin, would you like one?
A delicious cookie.
I don't want one though.
I love Snickerdoodles.
10 out of 10 for me.
Mel, that's also something that I love. Maybe one day soon we'll have a Seth Loves Snickerdoodles. Alrighty, thank you to Mel for bringing cookies. Always a delicious thing to add to a party. Up next, I believe we've got Nate.
This is Nate Love's optimal placement of settlements in Settlers of Catan. For those of you who don't know, I only play the optimal strategy when I play Catan, but I love to play optimally. And if you tell me differently, I'm going to disagree vehemently. So looking here, we got ourselves a gnarly board. If you're taking a look, we're the 4th position with blue, and we're trying to figure out where to settle on this board. Also, if you don't know how to play Catan, I'm sorry, I'm not going to spend time explaining it. So to start, I'm looking at this 6-9-11 over here. This looks real good for one main reason, and that is, of course, is no wheat equals defeat. If you have not heard that, you need to know that you need wheat in your game, otherwise you'll lose. And you can see that this 5 over here, it's locked out, so you can't go on that 5. So the only other place is the 8-11. So what I did is I went on the 6-9-11, got a great brick wood, and then I paired up, of course, with the highest value tiles on the board, 6-5-4. So this gives me a strong 1-2 punch with great production. And you know me, I love production. I'm all about getting my numbers to roll in order to have the optimal strategy. To follow that up, there are 2 other things that are going to help me win this game. The next one is diversity. You got to have as many different resources as possible. And in a board where there's very low wheat and there's only one other ore spot available, you've got to take a choice between wheat, ore, and then make sure you have all the other resources. And I set myself up for success because I got a 3-to-1 port right there. And I love success. Lastly is your win conditions. And the win conditions that you've got to worry about are what's going to happen once other people plays, and once other people plays, how will you compete with that? So what we have is orange placing 3rd, so they'll go next. And they're looking for sheep, so they'll go on to this 8-9 and get the port with wood, which is a nice synergy for them. Red also is going to go for a high yield tile, so they're going to settle on the 10-4-12 to give themselves some wood. And lastly, brown is screwed based off this setup, so they're going to lose. And like I always say, you lose in the beginning of the game, and if anyone tells you differently, they're just being way too rational. I believe you lose from the beginning of the game. And lastly then, that leaves our win condition as longest road with a high wood brick production, which is big. And then we're trying to settle onto the 3-1 port, the 8-3 to get ore, and the 11 to get extra wheat. And there's no doubt in my mind that I will win this game with this optimal strategy. So Seth, I wanted to appreciate everything you've done for us today and having us do this. And for everyone who's watched, you will now never lose a game of Catan again.
I feel like I know every bit of Catan strategy that there ever was. Can everyone say it with me? No wheat equals defeat. Am I right or am I right?
No wheat equals defeat.
Yeah. So between Primetime, Dan, Brian, who would like to go next? It's a race. Whoever says yes first.
I'll go.
It's Primetime. Can we get a round of applause for Primetime? Maybe a couple primers in the chat.
Prime time.
And I'm like, 1, 2, 1, 2 is in my zone. Cause you're always feeling the song. What I'm feeling is wrong. Hey man, you ain't feeling the wrong. But a young man's aging and you still play golf. I'm so stressed that I really need a black. And I cherish my mom, and that's thanks to me and black. I'm sorry, D Black. You might have lost your mom, but you gained a family in return. And you learn. You can always let it be, but you never let it burn. I'm just hoping it won't be my turn. So let it go like
That was amazing, Prime Time. Thank you. You got transitions and everything.
Yeah, I really poured my heart and soul into that. Everyone for watching. If you want more like that, there's plenty out there on YouTube. You just got to know where to look.
Channel. What's your channel called?
It's HS7290.
That's all you got to remember. HS7290.
4 years off the top.
Thank you, Prime Time. Brian, you want to go?
Give it a go.
Brian, how do I know when to go to the next slide? Now?
Hold up now. We kind of missed the intro slide.
Oh, was that not the intro?
No. Oh, no.
I'm at my friend's house one day, and his younger brother says we have to watch this video he saw. We'd show each other videos all the time, but I had no idea that what he was about to show me would change my life forever. Because on that day, well, that was the first time that I watched Danny Hart's 2011 World Championship winning downhill run at Champery.
We're having some unfortunate technical difficulties. We go back to the first slide.
Yeah.
This presentation was on my love for tent nights with Seth.
Yeah.
It started back in probably middle school, which context around what is not enough. And there are content for people to have content nights about video that we discovered in a content pretty wild little content nightception there. Now we've come all the way around to here. I made some nice original music for those transitions in the slides, which were a little rough there, but otherwise
That was original
come all the way
music.
to
Wow.
hopefully it was drowned out by the music.
I was going to say, you were just drowned out for the music on my screen. I can
Yeah,
tell you were
you're
talking
drowned.
about the origination of that video, but Brian, you deserve an apology. I botched your presentation pretty rough. So for those that couldn't tell, Brian and I have been friends for a long time. And in my last video, the Danny Hart video, I was basically setting up the video by talking about how I used to watch videos of Brian and Eric. And that was how I first saw Danny Hart, was through Brian showing me a video, basically. Daniel, if you're ready, I think you're up. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, so a lot of my hobbies and things I generally love to do are things that would inhibit things for later in the night, which generally include eating and drinking. But I like hobbies in general, and one of Seth's hobbies is playing the bass. And we all know that Seth like fucking slaps the bass, like he's in a Phil Collins cover band, he's sick. And I was like, oh, I should learn the bass too in the 45 minutes after I had 15 minutes of thinking of what I should do. So I decided to learn the first riff that I learned on guitar, which I'm not a great guitarist, but on bass. And, you know, that's Green Day's When I Come Around, which is like that. So now, like, I was like, okay, what's the bass riff for this song? So, you know, we have a drum set now in the house over here. And like, you know, if I ever want to form a band and like drop Nate, drop Mark, and everyone, what can we do? So let's get the bass out. So it's a bass. It's a Seafoam Green Fender precision bass, right? So like, yeah, this is what I've spent the last hour practicing. It turns out the bass has much thicker strings, and I don't really know how to finger pick, but like it goes something like, what's it? That way. I need to practice a little, but. The chorus goes something like. so on and so forth. The simple pop punk song, but
When I come around.
Dean.
Thank you to Dan for learning how to slap of the bass. We've got 2 more people. We've got Eric and Devin. As you can see, Devin is focused. Devin is locked in. Ian, Eric is done. Eric, were you able to get me the file?
I think I can just share my screen. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm Eric, and today I'll be talking about Eric loves alleyways. And for those of you that don't know, Seth used to hate alleyways. So first I'll start with this alleyway when I went to college in Evanston in Northwestern. And the thing I like about this alleyway is that the front of the building looks very pristine. It looks like very new brick, but when you go to the back, it's kind of a facade, and this is kind of the true essence of the building. It's a much older brick, which isn't a bad thing. But also there's dumpsters in the back, and you can go dumpster diving, take people's furniture when they throw it out. And there's just a lot of interesting things, hanging back in the alley that you wouldn't see from the front. This was the first alley I encountered when I grew up, when my family would visit St. Paul, Minnesota. My grandma had a house down this alley, and so we frequently played wiffle ball and went to this diner right outside the alley. So this was my first experience with alleys, and kind of started my interest in them, since there's a lot of interesting things going on behind the surface. Here's my most recent alleyway from where I lived. I lived in Pittsburgh the past couple years, so it's just a nice, neighborhood feel, diversity in architecture, some brick, some other types of wood houses, and here you get some nice elevation, so you get to see some diversity in alleyways, and there's always new experiences. Here's an alleyway also in Evanston, and one I walked down with Seth one time, and I think this was the alleyway where he said he finally conquered his fear of alleyways. Back in Chicago a few years ago, I remember he even refused to walk in broad daylight with us through alleyways, but he said this was his the one that conquered his fear when he would walk through here to go get some chicken shack.
Is it behind Foster?
And here's just a very different type of alley. I studied abroad in Zurich, and so you can see it's a lot cleaner. The trash isn't out here like in the U.S., so it's kind of a different experience. It's a borderline alleyway since there's some front entrances, but just shows the different types of things you may see. And here it's much more of a vessel for pedestrians as compared to the U.S. It's not really designed for that. And here's a trip I did to Peru, and just another alleyway with a nice view. You can see the mountains in the background, people hanging out, and also some trash. Sometimes you get some stray dogs. So there's lots of things going on. Here was an alleyway in Boston when I visited a friend, and I like this one since it's actually on the same block as the house from Good Will Hunting, which is one of my favorite movies. So you just get some good vibes at sunset, and it reminds me of that movie. And I haven't shown any videos. It's hard to kind of convey what's going on just from pictures. So here's, a video of walking through a New York City alleyway, and you can kind of see different graffiti, which is always interesting, and also sounds of the city. Yeah, so in summary, I'm a big fan of walking through alleyways as compared to just going through streets like normal, since there's always new things, and you can learn things about people that you wouldn't otherwise see just from looking at the front of buildings. Thanks.
Jesus Christ, that was amazing, Eric. Thank you.
Incredible.
Eric, I had a question for you. One, I wrote down while I was watching that, you said there's a lot of things going on underneath the surface. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a great quote. Another question that I had from it was, did you just have those pictures ready to go off the rip?
Some of them I had pictures on my phone. Some of them I ripped from Google Street View.
No, my follow-up question is why do you have so many pictures of alleyways on your phone? Have you always just loved alleyways?
Well, it was only a few of them were my phone, but if there's a nice alley, I'll take a photo.
I love it.
I'm going to be handing the mic over to Devin Lombard Henley.
Can you hold it for me?
Oh, I'm actually going to be holding the microphone for Devin. Here, I'll get a picture-in-picture of this.
Okay, so bear with me. This is going to be a little bit more informational, but I really love marine invertebrates, and I don't think a lot of people know about them, so I'm going to tell you about them. So basically, the animal kingdom is divided into invertebrates and vertebrates. Vertebrates are called chordates. Invertebrates are non-chordates. Invertebrates don't have backbones or these things called notochords, which is just kind of like a flexible backbone that isn't super important. The first group is protozoans. These are just like single-celled microscopic animals like amoebas. Porifera are the sponges, and these are colonial, so they're all just clones of each other, and they have like special cells that can morph into different kinds of cells depending on where they want and go to different places in the sponges. And they can be glass or calcium or like a weird spongin material. Cnidarians are the sea anemones and corals, and these are also colonial. A lot of people think that these are jellyfish on the right, but actually these are just the medusa phase of coral. So these are actually just coral when they're young. Really weird. Ctenophores are the real jellyfish, and these are also called comb jellies, gooseberries, or sea walnuts. Platyhelminthes are flatworms. These are some of my personal favorites. They're usually parasitic. They don't have a circulatory or a respiratory system, and they're hermaphrodites. So when they mate, they do this little like penis fencing ritual, and whoever stabs the other one gets to inseminate them, and they win. Nematurium, I don't know. The roundworms, basically, they're unsegmented round. They're not flat like the other ones. Escalamenthes are basically just worm-like animals. They're nematodes, rotifers, water bears. Water bears are pretty cool.
Primetime, you've got an averse reaction to this. Primetime, you look disgusted.
I don't know how to say this one either. Basically, these guys are just parasites and they suck. Entoprotochortans, something. Basically, it just means anus inside because their butt is inside their mouth. Phoronids are horseshoe worms, more worms. They have this thing called a lophophore that they feed with, and it's basically a crown of tentacles. Bryozoa, also called the moss animals, also have a lophophore, and they're also colonial, so they have just a bunch of different little lophophores. Brachiopods are not clams. These guys also feed with a lophophore, and unlike clams or other bivalves, they have an upper and lower shell instead of a right versus left shell. I'm not sure why. Mollusks, another favorite. These ones are the second largest group of invertebrates. They include gastropods, which are snails, and nudibranchs. Nudibranchs are these little like white guys you can see on the left-hand corner of the screen. And my favorite is they breathe through their butt, which is the little feather-like thing. Bivalves, which are clams, oysters, mussels, cephalopods, which are squids and octopus, and chitons, these weird-looking little armored things. And we've got peanut worms, the spinaculids. Basically, they're just small, unsegmented. When disturbed, they retract up and I guess kind of look like peanuts.
More like peanuts. Oh. Am I right or am I right? Fucking got them. Priapula, basically, whatever this is, in Greek, it means penis worm. They're unsegmented, and they live in the mud and very toxic conditions. Annelids, also worms. These ones are ringed. They have segmented bodies. This one includes earthworms. Arthropods are the largest group of invertebrates. They include insects and centipedes, millipedes, arachnids, which are spiders and scorpions. There are also sea spiders, and in the Arctic, they can get really, really big, and it's terrifying. Horseshoe crabs, which are called living fossils because they have existed and not changed for almost 445 million years since before the dinosaurs existed. And these are not crabs, but this group does include crabs in crustaceans, same with barnacles. I don't know how to say this one either, but it's another worm, Chageta something. They're basically just predatory plankton worms. Echinoderms, these are spiny skin things. They're starfish, sea urchins, crinoids, which are the little feather-looking things on a stalk, and sea cucumbers, which are fun because
They breathe through their butts, kind of like nudibranchs, and they, if they're threatened, can squirt out all of their internal organs so they can swim away from their predator, and then they just grow them back. Hemichordates, acorn worms. I guess someone thought that the head looked like an acorn, but I don't see it. And finally, tunicates, which we go all the way back. These are our closest marine invertebrate relatives, even though they look like sponges. But these guys actually have a notochord, which, if you remember at the beginning, is like a pre-spinal cord vertebra. So it's technically invertebrate, but it's in the notochord group. Very strange. Scientists don't know how to group things, and they just kind of like siphon water through their bodies to breathe. Basically, those are all the groups of invertebrates in marine ecosystems, and I just think there are too many worms, but I hope you learned something and weren't too grossed out.
Thank you, Devin. Wow, that was a lot of free information.
Can we do Q&A? Sorry, I have like a
Yeah. We can do Q&A. Any questions for Professor Lombard Henley?
So I'm in the Wikipedia rabbit hole. Why are sea spiders so big in the Arctic? Like, they have feet up to a foot long.
Yeah.
And that's scary. Why is that?
It's called polar gigantism. Basically, things in really cold water get really big because there's a lot of oxygen that can be stored in cooler water, and there's more nutrients in the water than like in tropical waters.
Should I be scared of them?
Only if you plan to go diving, like in Antarctica.
I'll share a quick anecdote, which is just that when I was in Alaska with my mom, we were kayaking. Afterwards, we went from the beach onto a boat. And so we needed to get onto the boat, even though there was no dock on the island. So you needed to kind of wade into the water and get onto the boat. I found a nice little path on some rocks and kind of nimbly, made my way towards the boat. My mom didn't know what to do. And so she was trying to walk along the rocks. And we had found a little foot spot for her in the little wading pool that we were walking through. And she just stepped directly on a sea anemone, and it squished and then gurgled under her foot and shot water into her shoe. And so both the noise that she made and the noise of the sea anemone just getting absolutely destroyed was one of the funniest things I had seen on that entire trip. And I proceeded to just crack up laughing while my mom got onto the boat and was sitting there wow, I can't believe I made it across that giant gap. Without realizing that she just totally murked a sea anemone. That's all I think that we have. I really appreciate everyone who came out and made stuff and who came out and listened and bared with all the technical difficulties and things like that. This was really fun. I hope it was as fun for you guys as it was for me. It was really fun to watch everyone go and be chaotic for an hour and come back with something that they related to and had been able to use their creativity to express. That is exactly what I wanted to capture basically in throwing this event, is that it's really fun to just, go outside the box, think about how you want to present something to other people. And I'm glad you guys got to experience and that joy that I get when I make these videos. So thank you very much for all the birthday wishes. It means a lot. Seriously, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Seth.
Happy Seth's birthday to everyone.
Thank you.